There's one more. Doop-a-doop-a-doop.
Okay, I guess we're good to go. Call the meeting to order. 6:33. On roll call, Mr. Bartlett. Here. Mrs. Graves.
Here.
Dr. Lewis.
Here.
Ms. Palazzolo.
Here.
Ms. Rankin.
Here.
And Mr. Stelzer.
Here.
All right. All right, we'll go ahead and do the minutes. Rob already had a question about the minutes. Anybody else got any questions about the minutes? And this would be for both meetings, last meeting and the special meeting of council on the June the 4th. Any other questions?
I don't. What do you got, Rob?
It was a minor scrib error.
Scrivener error is what-
Scribner.
Scribner.
Okay, I need a motion and a second to accept.
So
So
moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Bartlett. Here. Mrs. Graves.
Yeah, I.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Ms. Palazzolo.
Aye.
Ms. Rankin.
Aye.
And Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
All right. All right, we'll accept those minutes. I want to take it 1 second in here. I want to, of note, I want to call some attention to, we've gone through quite an arduous process here over the last 6 weeks, I would say, getting the pool open. And it was a monumental job, a Herculean effort by a lot of people. And I want to thank a few of these people.
Sorry.
Who's, somebody sorry?
It was Kelly.
That was Kelly. Okay. I'd like to start with Lauren Halad, obviously, had a big part in this. Joe Stelzer, very big part in this. Lisa Blandings, Terry Donovan, Ted Beach, and there were many others. I can't name them all, but I do think that we owe them a big round of thank you for this, to get that pool open.
Yay. Good job, guys.
And of course, let's not forget Jordan Shad. Big role. All right.
I'll just add, Bill, I think it's been pretty successful so far. They took the number of the maximum capacity from 75 to 100 this week on the second week. So I think they're getting through the process, and I haven't really heard any problems. I think everybody is complying with the restrictions that were put in place in the rules. So I think the process seems to be going pretty well at this point.
It's good. Yeah, it's good.
That's good to hear.
Successful project. All right, moving on to communications. You have Eli's report. You guys have any questions or anything regarding that? Obviously, you can contact her. We have a report from the Ohio Department of Public Safety, and this is that $20,262 that Tim Feitner got for us. Primarily, this money, I believe, is FEMA money, and he, kept track of our expenses that were related to that, and went ahead and made the application, and we've been given that money. So we owe Tim, I think, a little thank you on that.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, good job. And then we have a communication from Jack Hemenway regarding the right-of-way legislation. And this is, again, let me just emphasize here, this is not to be confused with the 5G legislation that essentially, would lay out the guidelines and the parameters for 5G. This is the right-of-way legislation. And what we're basically here tonight to decide, Frost Brown Todd has already done some preliminary work on this. And I think what we would like to decide here, are we going to engage them to continue the work? And I don't know whether, I think if you guys got it in your packet, they've gone ahead and provided us with a sample document from the village of Marble Cliff, Ohio. And as you can see, it's an arduous, it's probably a good 40 pages. There's a lot of work to be done on this. We're not necessarily, this is sort of would be a template or an outline of what our document would look like. But I'm gonna, again, I believe this is gonna stay in Kelly's committee, and we will put together another additional group of folks to help us come up with guidelines and other, aspects of things that we would like to include in our document. We're not discussing that tonight. We're simply discussing, do we wish to proceed with Frost Brown to prepare and continue the legal work for this?
And on the letter attached to it, it looks like that Jack says, I believe the project could be done in 15 hours of legal time or less. I just want to point that out in case anybody hadn't noticed that part, so.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it was on this one. I know Joe had mentioned that some of the 15 hours, maybe Ed can do some of this work. I don't know how that would work out, or maybe this is entirely on Frost Brown. I guess that would be something we would determine going forward. Joe, did you have a comment on that?
Regarding the street vacation is what we had the conversation about the Frost Brown. And what we agreed there is that hopefully we could do a lot of the coordination work and just have Frost Brown doing the document work. And that should cut the number of hours necessary down. And then, also utilize Ed during that process also to get a second review of the documents. So the initial estimate from Frost Brown, hopefully we can keep it underneath that number for the street vacation. I'm not sure what you guys have talked about on this right away in this 5G process.
So we haven't talked about it. It's just, again, they gave us the template. They said, and obviously the less changes we have to the template, the lower the hours will be. So I think that this is something, because it's an ordinance. It's just like we did for the first one, which was the small cell tower ordinance. So I think using something that already exists should help us do this more efficiently.
Agreed.
Everybody in agreement? We're just going to have a show of hands on this. We're all in for this. Everything good?
Yep.
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 Everything's-
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And moving on to permission to address council. I've got a couple of emails here from a couple of residents I'd like to read.
Wait, can we one other thing on that? So that other legislation, though, Kelly, the stuff that's going to be in your committee, that's also really critical that we move quickly on that, just like we did with the other stuff, because, and I don't know if you saw that too, there's a 45-day wait period. So that's before we can even vote on it the third time. So, it's going to take us a little bit, but we need to, the sooner we can get something in front of people, I think it'll help us to do that. So, and Avi, you're the other one in Public Works, I guess. So I've gone through the whole document that they sent us, and I had a few comments on it.
I have some too, and I can send those along.
Okay.
They're nothing big.
So yeah, the sooner we can meet with Jack and get that feedback to him. I mean,
Right.
What would be great for us to shoot for would be the next council meeting to have a first draft of the ordinance to make sure we get in front of people and see how they think.
And remember, there's 3 weeks between this meeting and the next meeting, so
Right.
it does allow some time. And also additionally, I think it's worth noting that there's probably going to be some overlap that's going to occur between the specifications for the 5G things and the right of way, although this right of way legislation document is arduous and it is going to take some study.
And this is this right away is the one that actually gets us the annual fee. Joe, this is one of the things you were talking about last time. So this is the document that actually allows us to charge an annual registration fee on top of the permit. There's a upfront permit fee, and then there's a ongoing annual registration fee we collect money on. So that would be good to get in place. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right, we'll get something set up sooner than later.
All right, under permission to address council, as I started to say, I've got 2 emails here, one from Marianne Schmidt, and she's received a flyer that was distributed around. A lot of it was distributed in the historic district from Jennifer Mansler. And this, of course, is regarding the, being contacted by the 5G guys that want to come in and install this stuff. And she's very concerned about this. And she's, asking that, that we look at this and study this, and which we are doing. And I would assume maybe she's even going to be part of the discussion, but like I said, we are looking at it and we'll be doing it. And then I have a second email here from a Karen Fallon, and this regards a couple of, and some of you guys are going to remember this. This involves a couple of homes that are either being remodeled or something going on over there on Cambridge. One is at 6941 Cambridge and the other one is 6945 Cambridge. And I happen to know the one house that's basically been under remodel for probably 3 years. And it, they seem to work on it a little bit. Then, a year goes by. I will pass this information along to Eileen and to Don, and we've got to do something about this.
You mean basically the fact that it's been in a state of repair for such a long period of time?
Well, the one house that I'm familiar with has probably been a state of repair for probably 2.5, 3 years, something like that.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Plus, didn't the building permit expire at the end of October on one of those houses? Did they ever renew it?
That I don't know, but I mean, yes, building permits do expire, and of course you can renew, you can re-up a building permit, and I don't know where they would be in that process, but at this point, I doubt that they have an active building permit, and this has gone on far too long.
I remember.
Yeah, so anyway, we will be addressing that. All right, everybody, motion to pay the bills here. We'll hold before the motion. Any question regarding the bills? Good with the bills?
I don't have any. No questions here.
Okay. Somebody had a question.
I'm fine with the bills, but the Robs and Joes, not so much.
Oh, low blow.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
just kidding.
Wait, did we get to second that motion?
Yeah, Kelly.
Okay. All right, I need a motion and a second to pay the bills.
So
So
moved.
moved.
I'll second.
Get it.
Marcy had the second. Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mrs. Graves,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Palazzolo.
Aye.
Ms. Rankin,
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
All right, pay the bills. What, we got reports here coming up? Couple of reports. Tony, you good on these reports?
Yeah, we just have one tonight from the Public Works and Services Committee
Sorry, Tony.
regarding the 2020 street projects, Petoskey Avenue drainage. So the Public Works and Services Committee met via Zoom on June 16th, 2020 at 3:00 p.m. to discuss the timeline and cost of the Petoskey Avenue drainage project. In attendance were the committee chairperson, Kelly Rankin, committee member, Rob Bartlett, village engineer, Chris Ertl, and Mayor Brown. The topic of discussion was to review the timeline and affiliated cost provided by Mr. Ertl, noted here. Cost by calendar year for 2020, village, 0, OPWC grant, 0, GCWW, $194,023.30. Note, the work for Greater Cincinnati Waterworks will be done by our contractor, Neiman. The village will receive $185,000 ahead of the project and invoice Greater Cincinnati Waterworks for the balance due upon receiving the final amount. Village sunk costs, designs by Klingers, $22,400. Advertising for bids, $1,446.20. For 2021, village, $296,133.37. OPWC grant, $98,711.13. And Greater Cincinnati Waterworks, 0. Note, village will submit invoices to OPWC for the 25% reimbursement as they are received from Neiman. For the timeline for 2020, first reading of awarding the contract legislation on 6/22/20. Duke Energy begins replacing the gas mains on 6/29/2020. Second, third reading passage on emergency of awarding the contract legislation by 7/27 council meeting. Pre-construction conference with Neiman in late August. Notice to proceed issued by the village for Neiman on 9/8/2020. Duke finishes gas main work on 9/12/2020. Neiman finishes underground water main work and storm pipe work 11/22/2020. And then in 2021, Neiman begins road removal on 4/1/21. Newman finishes road work on 7/1/21. Neiman finishes underground water main work and storm pipe work on 11/22/2020. And then in 2021, Neiman begins road removal. I already did that, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, village, okay. All construction dates are weather permitting. 2 points to note from the meeting. Number one, the road will be trenched on both sides from November until start date in 2021. Assumption is April. The gravel fill will be compacted and coated with crusher run gravel in order to control the spread of the gravel. Number two, the funds allocated for the project should remain earmarked in the 2020 and 2021 budget. Public Works Committee recommends we proceed with the project as outlined above, respectively submitted and signed by Kelly Rankin, Chairman, Rob Bartlett, and Avia Graves.
Okay, you heard the report. I need a motion and a second to accept the report.
So moved.
Second.
Rob had the second. All right, any discussion on this? Kelly, you want to give us a little brief? It's pretty,
Well, I think it pretty much gives you as
Pretty much
much
spells it out.
detail,
yeah.
you know, it outlines a lot. I mean, I think the key thing is the fact that we'll get that $185,000 ahead of time this year from Waterworks, so we'll have that money before a cent is spent. And Joe and I talked about it and decided that the interest rate we could get on that would be off the charts.
Yeah, some big bucks right there.
And put that in the bank, right, Joe?
So just because I haven't been a party to all of the meetings, what are we doing in 2020? Like that, I guess, why are we having gravel for 3 to 6 months? Like can we push that to just start in the spring also, so we don't have gravel everywhere?
Well, that's why the crusher, what we call it, crusher gravel will go down.
Run.
Basically, Maggie, the goal is for this year to get what Chris is referring to as the underground work done.
Uh-huh.
And then next spring, rather than the advantage is that rather than the village having to wait for Duke and Waterworks and all that to get done before we can start,
Mhm.
that'll all be done. So
Okay.
when we're ready to go, we're ready to go. So
We
we're
don't
not,
have to wait for them.
so we don't have to be contingent on someone else's timeline.
And that'll be just the sides of the road, correct? That'll be
That's
the
correct.
gravel?
Right, that'll be correct. That's correct.
Primary driving area will still be.
The center of the road will still stay blacktop. So from a perspective of being able to plow the road, you know, they will be able to plow the road. It's just that you will have these gravel, you know, well, they're trenches, but I mean, they'll be filled in and there'll be a fine compaction laid on top.
And
So-
obviously, yeah, and the more the cars drive on it, obviously, the more compacted it gets.
Harder it will get, the harder compacted it will be. And just so everybody understands, Kelly, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong about this, we are not fronting any of this money for this work.
No.
No. Okay.
That is correct.
Yeah, and the one thing is that also just to build on that, the stuff with Greater Cincinnati Waterworks is all going to run through our book. So you're going to see this income go up. It's sort of like what we did with the municipal building addition. You know, income goes up and then expenses come and all of a sudden it's going to go back down. But the work that's going to be done in 2021, the bill will be split on the front end. And so the stuff that goes to the OPWC grant, it won't flow through our books. It'll go, so we'll just have the final net amount, which will be, I mean, just that's the preferred way, but it's so it'll be handled differently, the two different ones in terms of how they.
And on that final net amount, then is that like the $197,000?
Where are you looking at, Avia?
Taking the 296 less the grant for 98,000, or is our total cost?
Our cost is the 296.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what we budgeted in the books for this year, correct?
Right.
And that's the one we delayed.
Yeah, that's what we delayed.
Right.
Yeah.
And we
We'll
feel
just roll
comfortable
that
now.
forward into next year's budget.
And we
What's
feel
that, Tony?
comfortable.
Pardon?
Well, I asked you what you said, but I don't know who.
I said
didn't
we'll
know.
just make sure we'll roll that forward, this project, into next year's capital improvement budget. And then we'll use money from the street fund as much as we can and then go to the permanent improvement fund after that.
Cool.
Yeah, so the key thing is not to spend it, you know, this year, just because this project's delayed, we can't go off and spend that money. We got to roll it forward, like you said, so.
Yep.
Okay, we all good?
Mhm.
On roll call, Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mrs. Graves,
I
Lewis, Marcy,
Oh,
you're muted.
Sorry, my bad.
All right, Ms. Palazzolo.
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin,
aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
All right, that report is passed. We only have one report, right? Are we going on to miscellaneous? Oh,
Put
let's,
stuff getting put in the committee.
yeah, we want to move some stuff around. But yeah, while we're kind of on the committee business, we're going to move,
Oh, should I make that request or are you just gonna do it?
I was just going to do it.
Okay,
We're going to move the CRA from Public Works over to Marcy's committee, Planning and Zoning. That, I think that's where
That's where it started.
life
Yeah.
originated. Yeah. Okay.
you know, and I talked to Marcy earlier and she and I, you know, I'm obviously willing to pitch in as much as I possibly can. You
Okay.
know, with what I have so far and, you know, certainly share that information.
Okay. All right. All right. So any other comments about that? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. All right, it's on your miscellaneous.
No, then you said trash and recycling is now in the
Oh.
trash and recycling is currently listed.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, most stuff. Right.
Yeah, and, I know that, so there was a conversation about this as well, with whether it should be in Health and Rec or whether it should be in Public Works, because it was in Public Works last year.
Right.
I told her, yeah, in the ordinance, it says Health and Rec has the waste and recycling.
Right.
Correct. And Kelly had already, based on last year's work, Kelly had already done some work this year on it. So,
Yeah, I prefer, you know, I mean, I have had some conversations with other providers already, and so I prefer it stay in Public Works.
So we're gonna move it out of Health and Rec.
Well, it's not really in Health and Rec right now. I mean,
it is,
It's
it's on.
listed there. It's listed there.
okay, sorry, I see it. Yep, sorry.
For the ordinance, though, it is supposed to be in Public Works.
Yeah.
No, it's supposed to be in
No, it's
Health.
supposed to be in Health and Rec for the
Oh,
ordinance.
sorry. I'm
So-
getting off Public Works now.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
And then of course, do we
And
want to mention about the stickers?
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah. This is going to be a challenge this year.
So I sent you guys an email about that, about, you know, there's one of the ongoing topics of discussion within the village is, should we continue with waste stickers or not? And I was talking to Bill first, and then I sent an email to you guys that I think it would be great if we could partner with the town crier to poll the residents and find out, you know, let's lay out the pros and cons, the economics for all the stuff that's going on with waste and recycling. And then poll the residents and say, do you want to continue to do waste stickers or not? And find, you know, do you use a way to collect that input from people and aggregate it to up and then have us choose what we want to act on or not. So
I'm just wondering though, if we're going to be polling them on that point, maybe why won't we poll them on the fact that, you know, do they want to carry their garbage to the street? I mean, that's a very contentious issue.
Do you think it is still?
I don't know. I guess we're about to find out.
the thing that,
That could be a committee thing.
so yeah, it's,
Yeah, you're right. We should probably be having discussion on who and what is going to be polled in the committee, not here tonight.
but so I want to check the concepts okay with council that we partner with town crier to poll the residents and get their input on this stuff.
Do we know the costs? I think while you're polling them, you have to be able to give them that information about how much their trash fee is going to go up if we don't have the stickers, or if we, same with like taking them to the curb. I mean, I think they need that information to be able to, you know, to poll them properly.
I don't know that we can have the information on getting it to the curb. I think the other stuff, I think you're right. I mean, the other stuff, pardon me?
The stickers, though, can we talk about that?
We know how much the stickers cost. Yeah.
But we
But do we
also,
know
do
how
we have any kind of data on the compliance rate for the stickers?
Yeah, listen, guys, we're really drifting into the discussion. This is a committee topic. We're not here to discuss that tonight. This is simply something that we're going to go in the committee and we're going to discuss it there. Okay.
I'll just make one quick comment. The stickers, we brought in 90,000 in 2018 and like 107 in 2019.
Yeah. So again, as part of this, what I was envisioning was we'll have an article that's in the town crier. It'll lay out all the facts that we have. And then we'll also have something like a flyer that we can put in there that people can fill out and submit back that says, here's what we think.
So I just don't think we should poll them until we have some cost numbers that go with it. Like savings for them.
it's going to be a chicken and egg. I don't know if we can do turnaround that fast. You know, if we get a price and then we have to sit there and poll to find out whether, you know.
I just don't know that it's the right thing for me to vote on whether or not I want to give up the stickers if I don't know how much my trash fee is going to go up.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, I see the obvious point, because people would be like, well, what if we don't have them, then what happens? I mean, do we just say, well, then your trash fee will go up?
Well, yeah. Obviously, we're going to have to
I mean,
keep.
I know we're not going to have solid figures, but we're going to have some kind of reply.
Yeah, and again, you can say you could sit there and say at a minimum, it's going to have to go up by however much the stickers brought in, 90 something thousand, 107,000. You'd say, okay, the annual fee's going to have to go up by that much instead to offset that.
Oh, there's pushback.
Can I add something?
Yeah, but you're
Can
already
I add something here?
getting $100 a year to people who have a huge trash can. So
Okay, so we're going down this path of talking a lot of details on the trash, and I don't think we should be doing that right now yet. We need to stop that. This whole idea of polling to try to develop policy, I think we need to be very careful on that. And I probably wouldn't say we should try it on something that's going to be as volatile as the trash contract, because I think I want to understand exactly how that process is going to work. What system are we going to use to collect the data? So, one of the things we heard from the pool task force is that people were concerned about people were going to stuff the ballot box with their opinion. So
Right.
I want to have a better idea about how this polling is going to work, who's going to control it, and how do we keep something from that happening? And I'd rather stay with the system we have right now, that we solicit citizens' comments to the proposal through the committee process. I don't think it's wise to switch over some new system for something that could be a little sensitive to a lot of residents as far as the trash is concerned.
So Joe, I don't disagree with that, but I think there is a very easy way to poll people and not stuff the ballot box. And that is, if you use a flyer in the town crier, you number each one. And so when they all come in, if there's more than one if there's one that doesn't have a number, you don't count it. If there's more that have two or more, you don't count it. So there's actually a very simple way to be able to address your concern about stuffing the ballot box, because you don't do it electronically.
All right, guys,
But
that's a debate that we will have when this issue is taken up in the committee. We all agreed?
I agree.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Moving on to
so no, the other thing we're going to put in finance committee is working with Chief Hines and Assistant Fire Chief Feitner on looking at the 10 to 15 year projected costs for the fire department.
You want that in your committee?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that under
So-
miscellaneous? I don't see that.
No, we're still on committees. So we're putting in finance committee to work with Chief Hines and Tim Feitner to come up with a sort of a baseline number as to what the projected cost of the police and fire departments,
Just the fire.
just the fire will be over the next
10 to 15 years.
10 to 15 years. That's going to go in finance committee.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now we're going on to miscellaneous. Village offices, again, just as a reminder, will be closed on July the 3rd for the holidays. You all know that we moved up the budget hearing to Monday, July the 27th. We've all agreed to that at 5:30.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, and then, did you get it, Tony? Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you okay?
So thanks.
Okay, and then, yeah,
Wait, can I just clarify? So it is, I had the 13th. It is the 27th.
It did change.
Oh,
yeah, Monday, July the
I moved.
27th. Is that right? At 5:30.
got it. Thank you.
Okay. We just discussed health and rec and the trash recycling and the stickers. We just did that. Moving on to ODOT on the Worcester Pike work, and some of you have probably seen they've already started some of the work down as you go down the hill toward Kroger. They've done one lane has been ground off and the base coat has been put down. I have to say, trying to get an answer out of these guys when they were going to start and how far they were going to go is just been almost impossible. I would assume that since they're coming up the hill, They'll be into the village, I guess, in, maybe another week. I've had Chris try to contact these folks. I've tried to contact these folks. If you go to their websites, you get varying numbers. So obviously, if I can get a more definite, answer as to when they will be in the village, I will pass it along. Otherwise, it's just keep your eyes peeled and watch what happens. Oh, and this is important. Starting July the 1st, we're going to open up the building. We'll be opening up the office. I think we will still open it. We will have a restricted number of people that can come into the office. They're kind of yet to be determined. This will be our last Zoom meeting. Our next meeting, which of course, like I said, is 3 weeks from tonight. It'll be on July the 13th. That will be a live meeting here in Counsel.
Yay.
Yeah, so get your smiley faces on. No more blue jeans and t-shirts.
Uh-oh.
All right, I'll be looking forward to seeing you all and getting it back open to the public. I mean, after all, the public has been getting sort of the short end of the stick on this deal, and we need to allow them to be able to come in and address us.
Bill, will we be, have you guys worked out, like, will the chairs be then
Yeah,
out every 6 feet apart? And
I'm gonna maintain the existing table that's here so that we'll have our spacing. I think if you're more comfortable with your mask, and well, actually, it looks like some of the chairs have already been spaced. The gallery chairs have already been spaced. We'll stack some of them up so we can have spacing there, and we will maintain that. Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Okay.
All right, moving on to resolutions. Tony?
First one, to authorize Ohio Department of Transportation to proceed with various traffic signal signing and pavement marking upgrades on US 50, Worcester Pike, located on the Eastern Corridor section II/III PID number 112171 county/route/section Hamilton and Eastern Corridor VAR TSG and enter into contract.
All right, that was the second reading. We'll have the third reading next week. The resolution regarding the CARES Act grant.
Yes, next, resolution regarding CARES Act grant and to declare emergency.
We've already had the first reading, so I need a motion and a second to suspend the rules and allow for the third reading.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. There's been changes.
Go ahead.
Well, hold on a second. We'll get to this discussion after we do this. That's fine. Yeah, make sure there's a discussion. All right. Did I have a second?
Yes,
Yeah. All right. Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Graves.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Ms. Palazzolo.
Aye.
Ms. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
Is it because I'm in Mike Brady's seat? I'm in Mike Brady's seat. I don't know where I am to you.
All right. That was actually the third reading, but we're going to go
Martha.
ahead. Does anybody have any discussion regarding this?
Martha?
So OML came up with they sent out another updated template, and I was comparing it to ours, and I made some marks on it about where we should, instead of Senate Bill 310, it's House Bill 41, and then there was also this reference to the CARES Act where it's 42 USC 801D, not 601D. Yeah.
Okay. Those are just like minor.
Yeah. It's all
Minor
just,
typo kind of
it's
things.
because again, the actual thing that was passed was HB 481.
Okay.
So
Okay. So we've had the third reading. So I need a motion and a second. Oh, Tony, we need the third reading.
Sorry. Resolution regarding CARES Act grant and to declare emergency.
Okay. All right. I need a motion and a second to adopt the resolution and the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Avia had the second.
Avi had the second.
Okay. Mr. Bartlett,
aye.
Mrs. Graves,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Aye. Aye.
Ms. Palazzolo,
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin,
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
Okay. I need a motion and a second to evoke the emergency clause.
So moved.
Rob has a motion. Who has a second?
I'll second.
Kelly has the second. All right, on roll call, Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mrs. Graves,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Palazzolo,
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin,
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
All right, that resolution or ordinance or resolution will be adopted.
Just want to say that money should be coming soon. The county just got their money from the state and they'll be distributing it out soon. And we have to create a new fund and we'll charge the expenses to that fund. And anything left over, we'll have to return, at the end of this thing.
So we're setting up a separate account for that, Tony?
Yes, it's required in legislation to have a separate fund for this.
Okay, good. That'll make it easier then.
Yeah.
But I mean, there'll have to be separate accounting on what the money was spent for, right? Or I mean, close accounting on what the money was spent for, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So you're setting up a separate account for the expenses too? One for the revenue, one for the expenses, or?
Yes. Yep.
How long do we have on that, Tony?
I thought it was till October, but you have until like December to spend it. We have to have it like appropriated by then.
Okay.
From what I remember reading.
October 15th, I guess.
Is the encumbered, yeah, when it's, if you have to have it. made a
Yeah, encumbered.
commitment. If you haven't made a commitment by the 15th, then you're supposed to turn it back in.
Okay, all right,
Which
sounds good, sounds good. All right, the ordinance,
All right, first one, ordinance amending section 32.13 of the Mariemont Code of Ordinances, Rules of Council, section A, rule 1.
all right, this is the second reading, any discussion? Everybody's good?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. We'll have that third reading in 3 weeks. Last ordinance, to accept the bid from Fred A. Newman and Company.
Yeah, to accept bid of Fred A. Newman Company for the Petoskey Avenue reconstruction project, to authorize contract and to declare emergency.
Okay. All right, you've had the first reading. I need a motion and a second to suspend the rules and allow for the second and third readings.
So moved.
Second.
Marcy had the second. Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mrs. Graves,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Palazzolo.
She did.
Maggie, did you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Mrs. Rankin,
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
All right, can we have the second reading, please?
To accept the bid of Fred A. Newman Company for the Petoskey Avenue reconstruction project, to authorize contract and to declare emergency.
Any discussion? I think we've already discussed it, basically. Yeah. All right, maybe we have the third reading.
All right, to accept bid of Fred A. Newman Company for the Petoskey Avenue reconstruction project, to authorize contract and to declare emergency.
I need a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance.
So moved.
They had the move. Second,
I'll second.
Avi. Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mrs. Graves,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Palazzolo,
Aye.
Ms. Rankin,
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
All right, I need a motion and a second to evoke the emergency clause.
So moved.
Rob has a motion. Second, somebody second.
I'll
Avia,
second.
Who was it?
who was it?
Kelly.
Kelly. All right, on roll call, Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mrs. Graves,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Palazzolo,
Aye.
Ms. Rankin,
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
All right, that ordinance is adopted.
Chris just said he's very happy.
Okay, we're adjourned.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you soon.
See you sooner.